Hey, thank you so much for coming to the next section. So now we're going to create scene 2. So I've already, of course, created all the scenes. This is what we're going for. This is the next scene. Okay, so the agents starts off, they have their backs turned, just like we see here. Their backs are turned. So Neo stands up. We have an agent here, and we have an agent here, and then we have the main agent Smith taking up the center of the frame. Okay, and we see him from the shoulders up. Okay, and we see that a bit of his head is chopped off. Okay, so it's a very beautiful dramatic look. The scene and the lighting is very dark in The Matrix. It's not a very bright film. The color tones, everything's very green, very dark. We'll get into color correction later. Okay, so he does this very slow turn, this dramatic turn, like he just can't believe that Neo is still alive. And the camera zooms in on his face, and we can't see those two guys anymore, barely. Okay. So that's scene 2. Scene 2 is this dramatic turn. This turn. Okay, great. So let's look at what we created. We have the agents there, agent here, and we see him from the shoulder up. There we go. Okay, so this is what we're going to work on now. So let's get started. Let's go into iClone. This is where we left off. Okay, Neo stands up. That's great. So now we need to move on. Now that Neo has officially stood up, he doesn't need to keep doing that. So let's click on Neo, and we're going to right click, and we're going to remove object animation. Before you do this though, make sure that you have him standing up before you remove the animation. Don't remove the animation when he's down here. So play this, scrub this timeline up until he's standing, and then now you want to select and remove animation, because now he's going to just stand there, and when you play, he's not going to move at all. It saves that animation. Okay, so great. So now we have Neo standing up. Let's switch our camera back to the preview camera. And let's look at what we have. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this wall. Actually, I don't have to. Let's just move forward. So let's bring the agents back in. We're gonna go to our scenes tab, and let's show the agents. Okay, great. So now we have our agents, and we need to focus now on the agents. Okay, all right. I'm just going to go ahead and double click on the hair, and I'm going to change his hair to black. All right, just give it a second. Sometimes it takes a while. There we go. Okay, and I'm only going to change it for one because the other agents are the same. So what I do to one agent, I'm probably just going to copy and do it to the others. Okay, so let's focus on him because he's the main one. Okay, so when we take a look at our scene, it starts off the agents, these two agents are in front of him. Okay, and they have their backs turned. So let's position the agents correctly. All right, so step 1. We're going to take this agent and we're going to turn him around. But as you can see, you'll notice that his head keeps looking this way, and that's because right now we have all the agents looking at Neo. So in iClone, you have a really cool feature called Look At, and that's if you right click on this agent, you're going to see where it says Look At. Right now he's looking at Neo. So you want to stop look at. So now when you stop the look at, he will no longer be looking at Neo. So we can turn him around now. Okay, there we go. So now he is turned around, and we're going to delete this guy. We're just going to delete him, and we're going to copy because they're all the same. Okay, so we're going to copy. Now we're going to control click on this agent to select both of them, and we're going to move them forward. Maybe about there should do. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so okay, we have an agent to the left, agent to the right, and here's what you're going to need to do to make life easier on you. So I already provided you with the motions and the poses that you're going to need to animate this, but you're going to have to save it to your project so that you need to save this pose and you need to save this pose so that you can use these two poses to animate the gun movement. Okay, so step one, this pose, to save this as a custom motion so you don't have to do it from scratch, select this agent, go to content, click on this running man, which is the animation tab. Then you're going to click on custom, then click on motion, and then you just want to click the plus sign. Click on the plus sign to save the motion. And give it a name, so we can say holding gun. Okay, holding gun. So that's the motion right here. Why is this important to do? It's important to do this because, again, when we have to animate this scene right here, after he turns around, the agents are going to go from their hands being down to raising their hands up and then shooting. So that motion of them raising their hands up to shoot, I'm going to show you here because I've already animated all this for you. So this is the next scene. As you can see, they raise their hands up. Okay, so to do this, you need two motions. You need one motion when their hands are down and another motion when they're shooting. And you're just going to now animate that. Okay? All right, so that's what we're doing now. So now that you've saved this custom motion, now you need to save this motion when his hand is down. So again, just click on the plus sign and save that custom motion. Okay, so once you've saved that, let's continue. So now we need to apply the hand down motion because his hand is up and it's not supposed to be up yet. Okay, so let's apply the hand down motion, which I've already saved. So click to apply that. There we go. Okay, now we're going to turn him around. As you can see, his head is still trying to look at Neo, so we're going to right click and say stop look at. Okay, because we want him to be facing this way. Okay. Okay, good. So now that we have notice that I'm doing all of this with the preview camera. Okay, you never set your cameras until after you have positioned your actors. Okay, so we always want to position your actors, do the animation, and then you create the cameras to capture that motion. Okay, so I'm doing everything in the preview camera. So for now, we have the actors positioned. We have Agent Smith. Now we have to create a motion where Agent Smith slowly turns around to look at Neo. Okay. Okay. And you want to, again, pay attention to the timing. How long does it take for Agent Smith to turn around? So let's push play. Okay, so that's why I already have it set here for you, because this is about the right time frame that it takes for Agent Smith to turn around to look at Neo. Okay, so how are we going to animate him turning around? Well, the good news is we only see Agent Smith from the shoulder up. We don't see his feet. So because we don't see his feet, we only see his shoulders, like I showed you here. Okay, so we only see his shoulders. So you don't have to really animate him turning around. All you really need to do is just a clever trick of rotating him. So right now we have the animation at the beginning. We're gonna scroll all the way to the end, about maybe here. So let's play it. Turn, and about maybe here is where he should be looking at Neo. Okay, so maybe around here he's looking at Neo at this point in the time frame. Again, timing is important, guys. Timing is very important. If you mess up the timing, you can clean it up later by going into your timeline. I'll show you this later. But you really want to make sure that, and this comes with experience. The more experienced you become, you'll get better with your timing. So he turns, and at this point in time, he's going to look at Neo. So let's do a turn. We're going to rotate the character. Maybe about here. And he needs to look at Neo. So I'm going to come all the way back here to Neo. I'm going to right click on the agent. Make sure you keep your keyframe at this point. Do not move the keyframe. So we're going to say look at Neo's head. So now he's looking at Neo's head at this time frame. Okay. All right. So now that we have him looking at Neo, let's see how that looks. Okay. Okay. So we have him turning and he's looking at Neo. That's pretty much all you have to do for scene 2. That's all he does. Okay. And then this is scene 3. So for scene 2 is done. Now we just have to create a camera to capture it. So now we're going to go to create, click camera. And when you click on camera, you're going to see camera up here. This is our new camera. Let's go to the scenes tab. And now we can see our new camera. To rename your cameras, you can just right click. Or I don't think you can right click, but you can click and then click again. Or double click, and you can rename this camera. You can say Smith close-up. Okay, so you can give your cameras meaningful names so that you remember what camera this is. Okay, and this is going to show up here. So now we have this camera selected. Let's go to the Modify tab and let's choose a film back. So let's see if maybe the Super 16 will work in this as well. So when we select this, let's move up, because again, remember in this scene, we only see from the shoulders up. You see his shoulder up. We don't see the rest of his body. Okay, so, and he's a little bit offset to the right. There's a lot of negative space here. This is a lot of space here. So, and then he's leaning more toward this way. Okay, so let's try to recreate that. So, and then also his face is kind of, the camera is a little bit below him for like a dramatic effect. So we also want to make sure that we kind of tilt the camera a little bit down. And then when you select your character and you want to go back to edit your camera, you can just click this button here. And now you'll select your camera again. And then let's now start playing with some different focal lengths. So 50mm gives us this. This is a little bit closer. I think it's maybe a little too close. So let's try the 35mm TV projection. Let's see. Okay, so I think this camera is the one that we should use for this scene. Okay, only problem is that, let's zoom in a bit. Okay, and let's hit play. Okay. Okay, not bad, but we can't really see our agents. And again, remember that he is more so toward the right of the screen, and there's supposed to be more negative space here. So we need to push this. Let's go back. Okay, let's drag this a little bit more like this. This is more accurate, I think. Okay. Okay, so we can see this agent, but we can't see the other agent. So let's change that for this particular view. Okay. So make sure you switch to the preview camera. Let's select this agent and let's see what's going on. I'm gonna go to the window, mini viewport. Okay. And in the mini viewport, since we're working in preview mode, let's look at the Smith camera. So this is our camera, so we can see now two cameras. And let's see. Okay, so this is where we have to move him in order to see him in this view. Let's check with our reference video to see if that's accurate. Okay, so that's pretty accurate. And maybe move him a little bit further up. Not too much, not too much. Okay, so that's pretty accurate. Let's push play and see. Okay, great. So I think for now we'll leave this. Let's go back to our Smith close-up camera, and now we can do the close-up on his face. Okay, so now we need to do a close-up on his face. So when he comes up like this, when he turns around, this is where the camera ends. Okay, so camera starts there. So move to the end frame. When you're at the end frame, we're going to zoom in. There are several ways to zoom in. Let's select the camera. Let's go to modify. And let's see if zooming in this way. So if you click on 105 millimeters, this zooms in pretty well. Let's drag it up. Let's drag it up a little bit more. Because I think now he is okay. Let's try 200. Okay, so 200 is too much. So when we click on 200, let's use the scroll wheel on our mouse. If you have a 3-button mouse, to just zoom out a little bit, zoom out a little bit. And I like it here, but you can zoom out some more if you like. And you can kind of, you can do something like that. And if you want, you can select him and kind of push the camera a little bit more like this. So now let's play and see if we like it. Okay, so there's a lag, and I think it's because I'm recording. If this ever happens to you, if you're experiencing lag, just switch your quality to minimal. So maybe you can do quick mode or minimal. Let's try minimal. It takes some time, but these are all very good practices for you to see in real time how this works. So when you're creating, you won't think that it only happens to you. It happens to me too. Okay, so let's wait for this to switch to minimal mode. Sometimes because when I'm recording, there might be a little bit of lag. But the principles and the techniques that I'm showing you, this is how you would do this yourself. Okay, so now we've switched to minimal mode. Okay. Okay, so we made a mistake, and the mistake that we made was we needed the zoom to be here. So let's go into our camera. Let's go into our timeline, and we're going to edit our camera. So you click this button to go into the timeline, and go to the scenes tab. Click on the close-up camera and click here to see the to fit to window, and we're going to see now all the keyframes for that camera. So it says here Smith close-up, that's the camera, and these are the keyframes that we have. We only have 2 keyframes. We have a beginning point and an end point. The thing is, we wanted this end point to be maybe here. So let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, in cases like these, if it just doesn't work, then try a different method, because really what you want is you want a smooth turn. And right now, the turn is not smooth. Okay. Okay, so he turns around, that's smooth. And now let's see what we can do in terms of our camera. Okay. Okay, so if you zoom in and then try and play that back, there we go. Okay, so now we have a much smoother animation, and this is that keyframe right here. Okay, So we have two keyframes for this Smith close-up camera. This is the beginning keyframe and this is the ending keyframe. Okay, and you can move this keyframe forward or backwards to make the animation faster or slower. Okay, so great. Now that we have seen that in minimal mode, let's switch back to high. Oh no, I selected medium. I meant to click high, but that's okay. And now we're going to render this out. Okay. Just give it a moment. Okay, so now we have a very simple zoom in. Okay, so he doesn't look very angry, and he's supposed to look angry. So let's select him and we're going to change his emotion. Maybe starting here, we make sure we can see his face. I'm going to change his face. So select the character and go to modify. Click on the animation tab. And there are many ways that we can change his emotions. You can use the face puppet tool, and maybe you can change the eyebrows. If you want him to be surprised, you can be surprised. If you want him to be angry. Okay, so there are many different. Let's choose the anger. Let's see. Okay, so there are many different ways to change the emotion. I'm just going to use the face key. In the face key, you can manually change the face. Just select the parts of the face that you want to modify, and then click here. If you make a mistake, just select default key. Okay, and you can click that to erase it, or you can just add an expression. So maybe angry. Let's try angry. Okay, so we can maybe just do angry. I think this one is okay. Now let's switch to the beginning frame. Click on angry, and there we go. So now when he turns around, he's angry. Okay, so that concludes the setting up of scene 2. We have set up scene 2. Now all we need to do is render it. So we're going to render this video out using these same settings, and just click export. Go into matrix scenes, that's the folder, and we're going to call this scene 2. Okay, scene 2, and just export. Alright, so once this is done exporting, in the next video we're going to take scene 2 into Shotcut, and we're going to edit scene 2. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.